Yes, so the first topic we're talking about, Annabelle. So the doll handler of Annabelle, Dan Rivera, he just passed away on July 13th. If you're not familiar with Annabelle, she's the so-called haunted doll made popular by the Conjuring movies. Well, there's nothing suspicious about his death. We found that out.
Okay.
But paranormal believers are asking what's going to happen with the doll. A few weeks ago, there was this rumor going around that Annabelle was missing and that she was in Chicago. So the story went viral. We found out that she's not in Chicago, but where's she going next?
How did he die? Why is it not suspicious?
I think it was just natural causes.
Natural causes. Okay,
the thing
so here's the
is,
thing.
It's not suspicious in the investigatory sense.
Right.
But like
it's
why?
It's suspicious in the
Annabelle sense.
The Annabelle sense.
Okay, so I did some research. I was literally sitting over there reading all about this Annabelle doll. So on the right there, you can see that Raggedy Ann doll. That's the Annabelle doll. So I guess back in 1970, or the early 70s, a nurse received Annabelle, this doll, as a gift from her mom. And the doll was doing weird things. She had a roommate. I guess they would find notes in their house on parchment paper, and they didn't even have parchment paper in their house or apartment. I think it was a house. And the position of the doll would change. It would move room to room, and there was one incident. Now, again, this is all stuff I've read online. I don't know if it's actually happened.
Well,
but
if it's on the internet, it's true.
Right.
Proceed.
So one incident where she was having a friend spend the night. It was a guy on a couch, and he woke up feeling like he couldn't breathe, like he was being strangled. The doll was there, just sitting there staring at him, and he had scratches all over his chest. So then this Warren family, the woman, I guess since she was little, she saw like auras around people, she said. She's a very devout Catholic. Her husband also got into paranormal activity interest when he was young. So they kind of paired up and they reached out, they got this doll. And turns out they named it Annabelle because of where this nurse lived. I guess a girl had lived there and died when she was like 6 or 7. So they thought that maybe it was Annabelle, the little girl in this doll.
Oh, yeah.
So then the Warrens took this doll and they put it in their museum, locked it in a box and said, don't touch it. So one of the stories that came from don't touch this doll, because they believed that there was a
museum,
spirit.
back up, pause for a second.
Yes.
The museum, is it a paranormal museum?
Is it
They collect all
occult?
these paranormal items.
Oh, okay. So they took ownership of the doll, locked it away. Okay.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I guess underneath the box it said, "Do not touch. Do not open the box." So I guess one day there was a guy taunting the doll, and on his way home he was driving a motorcycle and he got in an accident and died. And they blamed it on this doll. But I guess too, they thought that there was some spirit in this doll that wanted to latch onto a human host, as they called it. So they were worried about that happening. But yeah, so then this happened. So I guess they said don't move this doll around, and this guy was taking the Annabelle doll on a tour around the country, and then this happened. So I think this is why it's just a spooky story. I know I was reading too, like the Warren woman was saying, like out of all of her paranormal museum, she was most scared of the Annabelle doll.
Wow. Okay, you did a deep dive on this, Caitlin.
Deep dive.
I mean, I'm not saying you don't always thoroughly research our
don't,
topics
though.
here on ChicagoNOW. you went particularly deep on this one. Tell me about that decision.
I mean, I'm curious, right? I'm not. I know there's like a thing right now where they say like women like murder mysteries. I'm not so much into that, but I was curious.
Stuff?
I was looking through our show and I thought, oh, what's the story behind this Annabelle doll? Why is it haunted? What happened?
We didn't even have a cause of death. We didn't know enough during Good Day today to even say what you just said, that it was a natural causes, like not a suspicious death whatsoever. We had no cause of death when we reported it on the news today. One thing I wanted to mention is, so I am, like when it comes to these things,
Skeptic?
Skeptic, but I'm like halfway in between, because here, that Titanic submersible that imploded and killed everyone off.
Sure.
It's one of those things where I'm like, just leave the boat alone. Like that does go through my head. Like if there is anything odd out there, it's like Just
be curious and
Oh,
curious.
yeah.
is there a connection there between like being creepy, like haunted Titanic, and this submersible?
There's a little. To me, it's the same ballpark when you're talking about all right, moving the thing around when it shouldn't be moved around, and like just visiting the Titanic. You know, being so upset, like this stuff.
So now that Annabelle needs this new doll handler, would you guys volunteer to do it?
What?
Exactly to my point. No.
No.
I'm
What about you?
No.
Why would anybody?
Right.
What is with this guy?
There's a
Rest in peace.
there's a phrase for like when in just when in doubt. Nah, yeah, I'm not gonna mess with it.
Yeah. Well, and then I was reading like the comments that people were writing underneath this post, and some of the people were like, well, the comments saying like it was fake, they're like, well, obviously they have not had an experience, like a paranormal experience, and it shows. Have you guys?
Yes, I've had a couple.
Ooh, give me the juicies. Come on.
I feel like we might have touched on this a couple months ago. We stayed in a house in Mexico.
Oh, yeah, with
and
the
there
music.
Were, the music,
Yeah.
the chapel. There were 3 or 4 incidents throughout the week. I won't run through them again.
Yeah.
Flickering lights, the sound, a loud sound like a wood chair being dragged
Yeah.
across a porcelain floor happened one time.
Right.
And a couple other, we heard these voices at night. And so, like I
Was that
would say
it? Was that the only time?
those were, yes. And then my mom reports one from the house where she used to live where she found a porcelain,
Toilet.
porcelain bowl that had fallen out of a cabinet, and instead of shattering on the porcelain floor, it landed like
Perfectly
just
on the
perfectly
ground.
there, boom, like that. It was just face down on the floor, and she couldn't explain that. So those are my 2.
Whoa, is that
about
the
you?
house that was by the railroad
Yes,
tracks?
you've been there. You've been to
It
the
looked like
coach
that
house.
had a lot of history. Oh, can you
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about that?
1890s.
That was a cool house. You told me.
It was a dairy. It was an old dairy. It's called Clark Street Dairy, back in the 1800s, and it's in Lincoln Square. And there was a back coach house. Caitlin had
It
her
was so
photo
cool.
taken there. 'Cause
Yeah.
my sister's a photographer. They converted it into a studio. It was a auto body shop before we got the place, and before decades
And the
and decades
L
and
is right
decades.
behind it.
The Brown Line
It
runs
is
right behind
so
it.
Chicago.
Very Chicago.
This place.
What's your paranormal?
I want to know yours.
Okay.
Mine is not that juicy. So,
I think
let's
mine
hear your
is
story.
similar. I think one time I went to this older house. It was abandoned. Someone had died in it.
Okay.
The
Did you
doors
know
are-
that?
All
Is
the
that why you
elements.
went there?
We
All
knew
the
that.
elements
So
of it.
it was like a family member, like a family member who
Oh.
had died, and the doors were boarded up. We went down there. No one had been down there, but it looked like the piano keys were just recently used. There was no dust on it or anything.
Ew.
No one had been there for decades.
No way.
It was-
Everything else was
Wow.
dusty.
Everything else was dusty. That was the only thing
Except
that was
for the piano
completely,
keys?
yeah, completely.
Did the
clean.
deceased family member play the piano?
Yes.
We
Ooh.
just solved it.
Ooh.
there.
Right, it's
That's a
her. It's
good
gotta
one.
be her.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Or maybe the top was closed and you didn't see someone sneak down before you and just like pop it open.
But the doors were boarded up.
Oh.
No one else had been in there.
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
that's a
about
weird one.
yours?
Oh, mine, not as, like I said, not really juicy. I think the house. This is another story that I had already mentioned too. But our house that I grew up in, my great grandparents both died in it. You know, natural causes. But my dad and my brothers both have claimed to have seen like my grandpa walking through the house.
Wow.
Like my dad said one night he was sitting and in the kitchen there's like a window to this other room and he said he saw like my great grandpa walk through the kitchen and sit down in the room with him.
That's pretty.
That's
What's
pretty
not juicy
spooky.
about that?
Yeah.
That's
pretty
juicy.
juicier
Well,
than
I
ours.
didn't experience it,
Okay.
so I
Oh,
don't-
okay. Yeah, let's hear. Well, yeah, I didn't experience the bull.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other ones, that was firsthand.
Yeah, but I mean, knock on wood, nothing too
Okay.
spooky.
Hey, Annabelle, if you're listening, we're just reporting the news. We're not tempting this stuff. We're not Justine. What? Oh no! Did you see that editing effect? Oh
Wait, stop.
no!